Good day everyone. Today we will learn the revised Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. But before we proceed to our discussion, let's have our learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, the student should be able to define Bloom's taxonomy and explain its purpose in education. Identify the 6 levels of the old taxonomy. Describe the characteristic of each cognitive level. Let's begin with the creator of taxonomy educational objectives. He was the Associate Director of Board for Examination in the University of Chicago. They needed a way of classifying questions shared by faculty members to form a test bank. For 6 years, from 1949 to 1956, he led a group of experts to come up with framework to classify objectives. Bloom's taxonomy is a framework created by Benjamin Bloom and his colleague in 1956. It helps teachers organize learning objectives from the simplest thinking skills to the most complex thinking skills. It is mainly used to lesson plans, create learning activities, develop assessments and exams, measure students' learning. The taxonomy focuses on the cognitive domain, which means thinking and learning skills. Bloom's taxonomy have the 6 level. The level go from the simplest type of thinking to the most complex. The first one is knowledge or remembering. This is the basic level. Students remember or recall facts, terms, dates, formula, or definition. For example, memorizing the capital of the countries or the multiplication table. The second is comprehension or understanding. Students understand the information and can explain it in their own words. They can summarize, describe, or interpret what they learn. For example, explaining the water cycle using your own words. The next is application. Students use what they learn in real-life situation or solve problems. For example, using a math formula to solve a word problem. Next is analysis. Students break information into parts to understand how everything is connected. They compare, organize, and identify causes and effects. For example, comparing 2 stories and identifying their similarities and differences. Next is synthesis, creating the revised taxonomy. Students combine ideas to create something new. They design, invent, write, or produce original work. For example, writing your own story or designing a science project. And the last but not the least, evaluation. This is the one of the highest level of thinking. Students judge, evaluate, or defend their opinions using evidence. For example, deciding which solution to a problem is the best and explaining why. Let's now proceed to the revised Bloom's taxonomy. In 2001, the taxonomy was revised by Lauren Anderson and David Cartwell. Key changes conclude verbs replace nouns, remember instead of knowledge, and create becomes the highest level, replacing evaluation. The revised taxonomy introduced 2 dimensions, the cognitive process and knowledge types. This allowed educators to better align learning goals with activities and assessment.